Hey, how's it going? My name is Foxx, and I'm here to do a pregame cast assessment of Survivor Season 33, Millennials versus Gen X. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to give my thoughts of the season, the theme, the cast, and then I'm going to rank the cast into various tiers based on who I think will win. This is all speculative. I'm doing it all in one take, and I have no idea who wins. I generally don't know. I know one minor spoiler that gives me a slight indication of something, but it's a really easy one to find, and basically everyone knows it anyway. So I'm going in about 99% blind here. And before I get started, you might be asked, like, why do I care about your opinions? And well, here's the thing, you shouldn't. But if you're the kind of person who just likes to hear a lot of, like, thoughts before you go into a season and, want a commentator, I'm probably going to do episode recaps. I'll do it. I've seen every Survivor season, know every Survivor contestant, and I've played quite a few orgs, so I consider myself a minor scholar, if you will, on the game of Survivor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these tribes, alphabetical order by tribe, and try to determine who I think will be our 32nd winner of Survivor. I'm going to start off with the Millennials tribe, and then I'm going to go to the Gen X tribe. But before I do that, I'm going to give my thoughts on the theme. Okay, I kind of like it, I kind of don't. I like the idea of a Millennials versus Gen X generation Battle of the Generations type season because I feel like you could have a lot of narrative concepts with that, a lot of possibility for, competition between the generations, competition between philosophies and cultures. I think that the differences between Millennials and Gen X is not that different, though. I think if there's maybe a third baby boomers tribe, and I know three tribes are played out by this point, could potentially have more narrative oomph. Because, Gen X is sort of where that transition between baby boomer culture and Millennials culture, that's kind of when it started shifting. It kind of was at the 180 point. So I think it's the Gen X versus Millennials. Just on paper, just looking at the name looks kind of silly, and plus people are acting like, well, they've never done this before. Well, they've done it twice. They did it in Panama and they did it in Nicaragua, so they're lying, or they just have bad memory. Alrighty, so Millennials tribe, they are sort of a reddish orange. I think their name is Vanel. I don't know. They're going to be called the Millennials tribe until they inevitably, shuffle them 4 to 5 episodes in. Go in alphabetical order. Start with Adam Klein. I like Adam. Adam is nothing but positive vibes for me. He's young. He seems to be in good shape. And he's got a hell of a story. He works with the homeless, and his mom is dying of cancer. And that's pretty much like, you've got a hero storyline right there. You don't have to do anything with it. Plus, he plays orgs. And as someone who plays orgs, for those who don't know, it's like an online role-playing game, but for Survivor. So you're basically just doing a season of Survivor as yourself, without leaving your house. I fucking love Adam. I think he's got a good storyline. He seems competent. I think the fact that he does orgs might give him an advantage because when you actually are playing an org, the realities of having to talk to everybody, the realities of trying to get a vote together comes to fruition. It's nowhere close to like a 1-for-1 simulation. But there's definitely things that could be learned from an org, in my opinion. So I think Adam has the potential to be a fantastic character, and a huge hero, and I think he has a chance to do well. Not necessarily win. He's not giving me that, he's going to win thing, but I could easily see him making the finale. Hannah Shapiro. Okay, I really like Hannah. If this was a personality contest, she'd be tier A. Without a doubt. She's funny, she's self-aware, she's self-deprecating, and she's a super fan. But I'm not tiering her based on her character. I'm tiering her based on what I think of her as a player. And unfortunately, while I think she's super funny, and I think she's super self-aware, I don't think that makes her a winner. Just simply because people who are funny and self-aware like this typically do not make good alliance members. Rob Cesternino was able to do it, but Rob Cesternino also almost frighteningly in control of how he comes off to people. He'd talk however he wants to on camera, but he runs a tight ship of how he comes off. I don't think Hannah's that kind of person. I think she's the kind of person who can't help but be who she is. And I think that will endear people to her personally, not strategically. She's the type of personality that seems like a bit too much of a wild card that they don't want to keep in an alliance. She doesn't seem stupid. She doesn't seem annoying. She seems the opposite of both, but she's just not the kind of person I think would do well in an alliance. So, shame to say, don't have high hopes on Hannah. Figgy. I like Figgy. Figgy seems like a nice person. I think that she will get buried between a lot of these stronger personalities on this tribe, because almost everyone else on this tribe has a really big personality. The thing is with Figgy is she seems pretty athletic. She seems relatively competent. Sorry. I can see her being purple, though. And for those who don't know, purple, named after the great Purple Kelly, is she might get buried in the edit a little bit. Not her fault. She seems like in a season with like a less out there cast, she could easily be a big character, but she's not. So I don't see her doing super well either, just simply because there's going to be more athletic people on her tribe. There's going to be more strategic people on her tribe. There's probably going to be more likable people on her tribe. It's not really a problem with her. She seems like a pretty balanced player for the most part. It's just she doesn't stick out enough, and I think her tribe's going to think the same way, so I don't have high hopes on her. Now there's Jay. I feel like if Taylor wasn't in the Millennials tribe, Jay could easily be the character of the season. But unfortunately, Taylor is here, so Jay has to be kind of diet Taylor. He definitely seems like his own person, though. I think it's hilarious that on this tribe where a lot of religious people are on here, and I mean like really religious people are on here, he is openly not a fan of religion, and openly a hedonist. That has a lot of potential for drama and comedy right there. And he seems self-aware. He seems to know, like, you gotta endear yourself to people. So, but he also seems kind of smarmy. He kind of gives me Nick Mariano vibes. Great thing from a storytelling standpoint, probably doesn't bode well for him in the game. So I could see him having a mini villain arc and then having a downfall. Seems like an interesting character. Doesn't translate to him winning. Mari. I did not watch much of Mari's channel before being on here, though I'm aware of who she was. Wasn't a fan of her, and I do watch a lot of YouTube Let's Players, and I am a gamer, but I'm a fan of her now, just simply because, okay, I once played an org where one of the professions was amateur drag queen / custodian. I think ballet dancer / professional YouTube Let's Player might be more interesting, and I never thought I'd say that. So Mari seems funny, she seems out there, she's unique, she's super cute, but I don't know how she'll do competitively. The fact that she does ballet means she'll probably be quite good in challenges, because most of them are either like agility, endurance, or balance based. But I think she seems to have this idea that the fact she plays video games and does ballet necessarily translates to Survivor acumen, and it doesn't. I think she'll probably get along with people, and I would love to see her do far, but she's like the ultimate wild card right now. So while I appreciate Mari being here, and I would love to see her do well, she's one of my on-paper favorites for this season. Wild card? Michaela. Michaela is one of the people who impressed me the most. Does she have the strongest personality on her tribe? No. Does she have the most impressive resume on her tribe? No. But she does have something that I think no one else on her tribe has, and it's her ability to communicate. I was wowed by her ability to sell her story to me, just watching it. Like, the ability for her to sell her story and the ability for her to come off as so in control of how she comes off, I think is fantastic. She seems to be really smart, and people are probably going to sleep on her because there are some like people with probably more impressive on-paper resumes on here. So I think she could be an awesome narrator. She looks like she's strategic, and she seems to know what's going on. So Michaela, I have good thoughts on Michaela. She just exudes a level of control and awareness of around her that we don't often see in these interviews, where people are always wanting to like freak out and like, wow, look at me, I'm so quirky and dynamic. She just seems like, this doesn't faze me. I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to be surgical about this. So Really like that. Michelle. Michelle, she is both one of the really religious people on this season, and also she claims to be the flirt. And I don't care what Jeff Probst says, no one has ever won Survivor purely on being a flirt. Not even Parvati. You could maybe argue Fabio. But the fact of the matter is that these people who are playing for $1 million do not care and are too tired and hungry to care about how hot you are. You're not going to be hot 30, 35 days in. You're just not. So flirting's not going to work. You have to be more interested. People have to be more enamored by your story or your personality or your ability to entertain than your ability to be hot. And the fact that she's super religious, I mean, it doesn't bother me that she's religious. It just seems like that's her defining personality trait, is that religious and flirt. Okay. It's like two lazy Survivor archetypes thrown in one, and that's how she wants to sell herself to her competition. So, Michelle, I could see her surprise people, but I don't think she's going to last very long. Okay, Taylor. Okay, I've been back practically jerking off Taylor this entire time, and the reason why is because this guy's just really impressed me. He seems, a lot of people can comparing him to like a Fabio. He's not a Fabio at all. I think that he is just this super cool, free-spirited guy who seems to understand what is so great about being millennial. It's this optimism. It's this willingness to take risks and this willingness to acknowledge that you don't have all the answers and it's okay to try things and it's okay to fail. And I love this guy. I want to hang out with this guy, and he looks so strong and it looks so easy to get along with. And that is why Taylor won't win. Taylor screams, challenge right, who gets booed. He's either just before merge, just before the finale, he's going to go on a challenge run, everyone's going to love him, and then they're going to boot him, and it's going to be really sad music's going to play, and Denise over in Tennessee is going to be crying about how they voted off the nice guy. That's Taylor's arc. That's what he's here for. He's our sacrificial lion, and I love him, and I want him to do well, but I don't think he can win, though I think he can go far. There is Will. If there's one person on the Millennials tribe that has impressed me the least, it is Will. Because, again, Will seems to be insistent that being super religious is going to help him somehow. People don't really care. I mean, like, unless you're Natalie White, religion usually isn't a factor. I mean, or, like, it's worked with mixed success in South Pacific, but for the most part, people don't really care about your religion. And the fact that he seems so insistent on using Survivor to prove the fact that he's not young and stupid. Well, I mean, like, I'm sorry, man, but you can't use one of the super stressful competitions that you're probably not going to win, just mathematically speaking, to prove that you're an adult. You're just not. And even though it's a millennial tribe, by a not unsubstantial amount, he is the youngest member of his tribe. And that could potentially really hurt how his tribe views him. So he seems to want to Spencer it, and people are like, oh, people are going to underestimate me, but I'm going to go in and wow everybody, and that just shows a lack of self-awareness. He seems like a good guy. He seems like he means well, but he's too young, and he views Survivor too much as his own story, and that it's his job to go in and impress people, and it's never your story in Survivor. It's 16 to 20 people's stories, and you're just a character in it. If you want to be your story, you have to win. And last for the Millennials is Zeke, who is maybe my preseason favorite. This guy is Rob Sestamino meets Greg Buis, meets Jeff Barner, meets Jonathan Penner. He's all of the quirky, funny, strategic guys thrown into one, and I love him. I love his silly mustache, I love his weird voice, and I love the fact that he is just so hilarious and self-deprecating. And I want to see Zeke win. He seems brilliant, and I think that he's going to be way more in control of how it comes off than how he is doing it in interviews. Just simply because seems like a big Survivor fan, and he seemed like, I think he did like some blogging for RHAP, and he does comedy. He's going to endear himself to people so well, and people are going to underestimate him, and it's going to be fantastic. I want Zeke to do well so much, and I think he has what it takes. I think he has I think he could be like a fun comedic villain type, and he's going to be cool and he's going to be dynamic. So I probably not super great at challenges, but I think his strategic awareness and his social skills and humor is going to get him far. So Zeke looks really awesome to me. So that's the Millennials tribe. I'm going to go on a quick break, and when I get back, I am going to do the Gen X tribe. Appreciate it.